the scent of potpourri, films we commit to memory. Crossing the felt ropes, watching from home on my TV, looking at all my eyes can see, they tell me I view obsessively.
Hello and welcome to The Obsessive Viewer, a weekly podcast reviewing 2 new or recent release titles every episode with an occasional free-for-all segment at the end that we call Potpourri. I'm your host, Matt Hurt, and you can find more of my work, including my written reviews, full episode show notes, and the complete backlog of our episodes and spin-off podcasts at obsessiveviewer.com. You can also follow me on Letterboxd and other social media platforms at the username of Obsessive Viewer. And if you'd like to support us and get access to hundreds of exclusive episodes, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. Over on Patreon, my guests and I just recorded a B-roll recording for this episode where we talked about a bevy of topics, including the lack of air conditioning in my car and the lack of shame in LinkedIn users. All that's over on Patreon, and very soon I'm going to be starting my episode by episode review series on The Institute, which is currently airing on MGM Plus, the adaptation of Stephen King's novel of the same name. So that is coming down the pike on Patreon. Again, you can sign up at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. And if you want to support me without messing with Patreon or just make a one-time donation of any kind, you can always buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/obsessiveviewer. So this week on the show, we've got 2 movie reviews and some news and all of this stuff to get through in this episode. So later in the show, I'm going to be doing a solo review of Together, which is out now in theaters, in this week's secondary review. But before that, we're going to go over some movie news and Indianapolis screenings before reviewing the new MCU film, The Fantastic Four: First Steps, in this week's feature review. And joining me this week, as I alluded to him before, is my friend and IFJ colleague whose work can be found at awakeinthedark.com, and he can be followed on Letterboxd at the handle of awakeinthedark. It's Brent Leuthold. Welcome back to the show, Brent. How is it going, sir?
It is going awesome. Thanks so much for having me back.
Nice. Thank you so much for joining me. This was just a kind of spring of the moment kind of thing that I just sprung on you, and I am very glad that you accepted. So thank you. And if you guys want to check out some of Brent's work, go to awakeinthedark.com, where he has reviewed Superman, Eddington, and the Fantastic Four: First Steps. And he also has an essay over at MidwestFilmJournal.com for their Willem Dafoe series, Dafoe to Friend, where he wrote about Wild at Heart. And you can also find a link to that as well at awakeinthedark.com. And links to all of his work is in the show notes of this episode, which is at obsessiveviewer.com/OV485. And also in your podcast app or description, whatever you want. So Brent, any thoughts on those movies aside from the Fantastic Four, since we're going to be talking about it?
I'll tease a little. Fantastic Four coming out the same month as Superman is tough. It's tricky because Superman was really, really, really great. Mm-hmm. At least I certainly thought so, and I think a lot of people really enjoyed it. So it's kind of tough, and it's weird that like the MCU would be in that position because like, okay, maybe box office wise, there's certain things that would release at the same time, but it's like critically, like really nothing in the DCEU is going to be like compete in competition with anything MCU wise, which MCU in general, like a lot of critical appreciation for the movies just overall, especially if you factor in the like 60%, the way Rotten Tomatoes is like thumbs up, thumbs down, where it's like they could have a lot of 65 out of 100s, and those would be all red tomatoes. But anyway, Superman was great. Nice. Man, Eddington is, I have to say that is one thing I am kind of digging about, like the discourse on that and stuff like, 28 years later, like, which I just caught up with last night, like,
oh, nice,
like actually like really divisive movies, like truly there, I don't want to say there's no critical consensus, but it just seems like everyone, like critics are really having their own takes on it. And I think that's, nice. awesome. Like, even though I didn't care for Eddington at all, it's just, I feel like it's kind of a rare and special thing where there really is a kind of division in opinion, and not everyone is on the same page. So that's been a fun thing about that. I've probably enjoyed the discourse around Eddington more than the movie itself, the experience of watching the movie. So
very nice. That's so interesting because we were talking off mic about how, like, oh yeah, I don't really have, like, there's not anything kind of in theaters right now that I haven't already seen, basically. So I was thinking, like, maybe I'd go see a movie tomorrow or something. But I just realized, like, I haven't seen Eddington. So I will have to give that a whirl. But given how you felt about The Life of Chuck, which is one of my current frontrunner, really, for favorite movie of the year so far, I'm nervous to ask, but how'd you feel about 28 Years Later?
Well, I like 28 Years Later more than The Life of Chuck. The Life of Chuck, though, is another great example of what I was talking about. That was a pretty, like, and again, I think the way I think of it is, like, there are critics who really, really liked it. And then there are critics who really, really didn't like it. And I don't know, I just feel like there's not a lot of, anyway, movies like that. 20 Years Later, I liked the second. Has very much, to me, which I didn't realize going to the movie, like, it's very much a movie of two halves. I like that second half quite a bit. Like, I kind of would have preferred if, like, somehow that was the movie. I just honestly thought that first hour was, like, with Aaron Taylor Johnson and the boy, whoever that actor was, I forget his name, but he was wonderful. He's in really the whole movie. He was great. I just didn't care for, like, and this is Danny Boyle's term, poor man's bullet time, where they had the kind of 20 iPhones. And, it's a Danny Boyle movie, so, there's going to be a lot of crazy style. There was a shot of Aaron Taylor Johnson in the first 5 minutes. There is this insane canted angle from you can see, like, the fuzz on the carpet of the stairs. It's like no one would see that from that angle, not anyone. But I know that's how he does things. But anyway, I mean, I basically, that sort of second half, like, that whole story, it just felt like two really totally different movies. But I did like the second one, and I thought the music was really neat. I like Young Father's a good bit. They've put out, I think, like, a few albums, and I've liked all of them, but it's like, it's a very different kind of, like, score / soundtrack from them. Like, stuff will be really, like, ambient and atmospheric, and then it'll be really, like, kind of like industrial beats, and then it'll be, like, hip hop, and then it'll be, like, guitars, like, so it's just, like, it's a really, in my opinion, in my view, I should say, that's one of their songs. It's a very, like, there's a lot of, like, just variety within, like, just, like, the whole, this, all of this. I'm just glad they didn't go with, like, a pretty typical, like, orchestral, like, Hollywood strings sort of thing. I thought that was, like, a really inspired choice to have them in.
Nice. Yeah, I still wish that John Murphy was still involved with the franchise. I think he was busy with something else. But yeah, I really like the score too. I need to rewatch it because it's great. I freaking love that movie so much.
That was just one that we were gonna see in theaters, and then, like, it just didn't work this month because we had, like, 4th of July and just other things. We were out of town. So I was like, yeah, we'll just see that. And it just came out for rental a couple days ago. So,
nice.
I mean, Aubrey's, always game for, anything horror. And we watched the other 2 movies. So nice. I think we both like Days the most of the 3.
Oh,
still.
Good.
But yeah, and there's going to be that other one in January, which I didn't even realize it was coming that soon.
Yeah,
so.
I'm so excited. The Bone Temple. I'm excited. But I did also just look, and Eddington is no longer playing in the theaters near me, so I'm not going to be able to see it.
Well, Beau is Afraid had that too.
Oh,
where it was just, like, gone, and I reviewed that too, and those are both ones where I saw them, like, opening weekend.
Wow.
And I mean, okay, regardless of my personal opinion, like,
sure,
A24 is going to have a come to Jesus moment with him because they're producing those movies too. And for them, like those are pretty big budget affairs.
Yeah.
So I don't know this, but like I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they potentially like split ways.
Oh wow!
Just because the proof's in the pudding, right? I mean, with Hereditary and Midsommar, those were low budget, and as horror movies, like they did quite well, box office wise. But yeah, just Beau is Afraid and Eddington, I didn't even really look at like last weekend numbers, but like it's just did not get the audiences that it wanted. So so we'll see what happens with that. But Ari Aster's, he's an interesting guy. Something in me still roots for him, whether he goes back to horror or continues, making bad movies. So, we'll just, I mean, he's an interesting guy, and I hope he finds what he's looking for.
Right. I never caught up with Beau is Afraid either. And Eddington is playing on the South Side at AMC on the South Side. I could go do like a double feature with that, and I don't know. She rides.
Yeah, Nick said in Lafayette, like even during opening weekend or something, it was like I think it was maybe the week after, like the Monday or Tuesday after, it was like 9:50 at night.
Jesus, that's right.
It was this was like dismal.
I can't imagine going to a movie that late, like ever.
Yeah, well, it's 2.5 hours too.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So
yeah. But what I can imagine is going to any number of movie theaters in Indianapolis this week. Would you mind if I talk about a couple of screenings that are happening this week in Indianapolis?
Go for it.
All right. So over at Alamo Drafthouse, of course, Movie Trivia Sunday happens on the first and third Sunday of each month. So this coming Sunday is August 2nd. There's going to be movie trivia that's free to enter. You can, as a team or solo. It's hosted by our friend Lou Harry from the IFJA. Go check that out at Alamo Drafthouse. Also on Saturday at 2 p.m., they're starting their Way of the Samurai screenings, special screening things. So on Saturday, August 2nd at 2 p.m., they're showing The Tale of Zatoichi. I might try to go to that because I didn't know that it was coming so soon. So I might try to get out there for that on Saturday. And next Wednesday, August 6th at 7 p.m., they're having a Clueless movie party. So that is over at the Alamo. And over at the Can on August 10th for free, they're showing Cave of Forgotten Dreams. And on August 12th for $10 Tuesdays, they're showing Tucker and Dale versus Evil. And of course, you can check out the other theaters around Indianapolis. There's Living Room Theaters, Keystone Art, Flicks Brewhouse, and a bunch of other places as well. So links to all of this is in the show notes of this episode. Brent, any of those items stick out to you, or any comments?
That Way of the Samurai, that sounds cool. Like sounds like a cool series. I mean, a lot of stuff they could pick from, but Zatoichi's a good one. I mean, that would be. Yeah, you think when did you say that was the
Saturday the 2nd? This coming Saturday.
Oh, this Saturday. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, your weekend's made, man.
I know. And then next Saturday on the 9th, if I can do math, they're going to be showing Lady Snowblood for that. So.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
So, yeah, good stuff. That's what's playing this week in Indy. Do you want to go, before we get into the feature review, would you like to go over a couple of news items that I have picked out for us, Brent?
Yeah.
Okay. So there are a couple of news items that struck my eyeballs. And we've talked a little bit about them here and there, but the big one that I want to talk about on air is Amazon's Alexa fund invests in, quote, Netflix of AI startup Fable, which launches Showrunner, a tool for user-directed TV shows. So this is dicey for me, because part of me, and I said this in like our group chat and everything, part of me is curious about the implications of this. So, and the applications of it as well. So what it is, basically the overview of it is, the idea is for Showrunner to be an app that's like it's not a collaborative creative thing, but it's a user created thing where you can type in a prompt and it will generate an episode of television, an animated episode of television based on the prompt that you did. So the idea is that you can create your own TV shows through this service, and, have like share it with the world. In broad terms, I find that interesting. To get deeper into it, and we can talk about it and the ethics of it and everything, it scares me because it's something that I feel like people are going to latch onto the way that the people latch onto TikTok and other like short form content, to the point where I'm just going to go ahead and say it. The people who are influencers or makeshift sketch comedians on TikTok, there is the vast majority of what I've seen is that they are imitating the celebrities that do this for a living. Like they're imitating like newscasters when they're doing like news stuff for like political stuff or whatever. And they're imitating, SNL or whatever when they're doing some very, basic sketch that is trending. That's just a repeat of the exact same sketch that thousands of other people have already done. Just chasing that algorithm and everything. But they all do it poorly. Like they're not like professional actors or anything. So my thought is that this is going to dumb down even further the amount of content that is accessible to people and that people will gravitate toward because it's just low effort. So anyway, Brent, what did you make of this news?
Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of where we're going with all of this, I mean, sort of cutting to the chase, I do think it's going to effectively bifurcate at some point across really the entire entertainment industry of, you could say high art and low art, as it's been said in the past, but more to the point, high art, snooty, I guess, being, actual people created this.
Right.
And low art being, robots came up with this.
Yeah.
And they'll probably be priced accordingly. And so that in and of itself is hard to reckon with and frustrating and antithetical to any of the sensibilities in terms of engaging with arts and entertainment. So that's hard. The optimistic side of me would have said, well, put out Storyteller or Fable or whatever. People will do it for a little bit and then it'll fall out of favor, or they'll get bored with it and move on.
Right.
Or those sort of things. I'm not so sure anymore.
No.
I think maybe this is what people want and people are more than fine with it. I think, people, I don't know, like toys and this sort of stuff. And they're just going to want to, I don't know, make their own story. Like there's a reason that when you sit down in a theater or on your couch or whatever, like, don't you want to put yourself in the trust and in the hands of the people who, and not just the high level people, the directors, showrunners, writers, all of the people that, the key grips, lighter, all caterers, all of these people that are, employed by, whether it's the film or TV industry or what have you. And a lot of this goes for music too. So it's not just, because there's Spotify specifically is having a real issue with a bunch of AI stuff. It seems like I get pushed a ton of AI music, channels and stuff like that on YouTube. So, it's definitely here. I think anyone who thinks like, that's down the road, we can kick the can for now. Like it's definitely here. And I think companies are going to do what they do, which is maximize profit and whatever, and try to get the most amount of dollars out of people. But yeah, I mean, at a certain point, people are going to need to decide where they want. They're going to have to vote with their wallet.
Yeah.
And where they want. But my thing is, I would say, the tail end of that, the second part of this, I'm sure people will make the right decision. I am not so sure anymore.
No.
So.
Yeah, that's one thing that I just kind of like, the creative part of me, the creative, like the person who enjoys creativity. And the reason why I do the things that I do with like the podcast and everything and all of these different things that I do is because I value that creative process. I value like critiquing that creative process and analyzing it the way that I do and the way that we do. What I can't get away from is, again, that kind of TikTokification of media and entertainment that is just serving up the most baseless, vapid stuff that there is context for it. There is texture to some things here and there, but it's always like just a very dry, very dumb punchline, very overplayed thing that there is a sacredness to like art as it's being made, whether it be movies, television, music, art, like painting art and stuff. Like there is stuff that comes out from someone's soul. And that's something that people can connect to. And if you do the AI aspect of it and have it be something that's just like, okay, make this episode about what if Matt Hurt's podcast had a lion on it, and AI creates a TV episode of an animated Matt Hurt and an animated lion talking on a podcast. Like, the fuck's the point?
I can just start growling right now, and then and then that's the creative process happening in real time.
Exactly.
No, I mean, I think that's all well said. I mean, it is sacred, and that's the thing for me is like, and it's not to say that like, I'm not trying to be moralistic in the sense of like, no one should ever engage with AI ever. And if you ever have watched anything or looked at anything that's been AI generated, that you should, cut your head off. Like, no, like there's just this stuff out there. And all I'm trying to say is like, it's just something that on the consumer side, people are really going to need to figure out and reckon with, because I mean, and really what's so weird to me is like, I'm using the we of just whatever, the global population.
Sure.
We're going to replace ourselves effectively, with AI in terms of the corporate world. And if you look at like careers, like people are absolutely like going to lose jobs once AI it's going to continue to get better. And it's, the corporation's going to corporate, and they're going to find ways to replace people when they feel like it makes sense.
Yep.
That sucks enough.
Yeah.
Like, why even try to tango? It's like, wow, so someone's going to lose their job and then they come home and they have to watch a freaking AI like generated,
right.
Show. It's like, it's terrible to me. It's so dystopian. And so all that to say, it's like, that stuff sucks and it's going to happen. So we can at least, try to make a stand here as best we can to be like, they can take our jobs, but they can never take our entertainment.
Right.
Quote,
yes.
Braveheart, which was made by Mel Gibson, who I don't know if he's AI or real person. No,
he's something.
He's very much he's a very problematic person. But he is a person.
Right.
God damn it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you can't AI Mel Gibson.
No
AI could think up Mel Gibson. So, but that speaks to our point, right? Yeah. So.
Yeah. It sucks. It's bleak. There's, I mentioned this privately, but like the idea of it again is interesting enough to me because it reminds me of the video game series Little Big Planet on PlayStation, where it's a standard platforming game. Sackboy is an incredibly adorable character. You run and jump and all of that. It's like it's platforming. In that game, like its bread and butter was a create tool that you could create levels and then upload them, and like people can play them, and they made some really interesting stuff. just everywhere. And like, that's appealing to me. But what I'm afraid of and what I think is going to happen, because I could see this taking off. I could see this like Netflix of AI being a big thing. I could see it even like usurping like YouTube for like the most that people like watch like content. Because assuming that things happen the way that they could, there's any number of ways that it can go into like creating stuff at the press of a button and uploading it. But anyway, my concern, the thing that the slight optimist in me is like, and this is something else, but like, I could see the good in that if like, imagine like a kid, like a teenage, like a depressed teenager filtering his like depression, his like anxieties and everything into creating like an AI generated episode of television that like does like, it has part of himself in it and in terms of dealing with it. That's art. That's great. That idea is interesting. But the problem is this service, this technology, I feel is almost solely going to cater to the people who, and this is, as much as it's going to sound like it, it's not a judgment against these people, but it's going to cater to those general audiences who go see a movie once every few months, and it's an event for them. They don't think about the movie. They don't understand anything about it. They get pissed off when, something like The Twilight Zone is rebooted, and then suddenly it has political stuff in it, which Twilight Zone was always political. That's science fiction. But anyway, but they are people that watch it in the background. They are people that don't engage with media the way that like we do. And that's not like a like superiority complex I have or anything like that. That's just the way the world is. And like the people who like consume media that way are going to eat this technology up, and that's going to create that echo chamber of just like broad audiences just like watching stuff to watch stuff and creating AI generated stuff just to create AI generated stuff. And because it's like 20 minutes of time as opposed to a 2-hour movie, it gets successful because, hey, you did something. And like, I don't know, it bothers me.
Yeah. I mean, there's just really no coherent safeguards against any of this stuff either. So like, whatever, like what's the most obvious, potential use of this?
Yeah.
Like deepfake porn, like we all know, like that's, at least I think with this Fable or any of this crap, it's like, it's just garbage, and it's such a Pandora's box that like, whatever. It's just, it sucks because when you're talking about this stuff, it's like you realize it's like if you're dealing with like, billion, like Amazons of the world or whatever, it's like there is not a chance they are thinking at all about any moral implications of any of this. It's
right.
It's just about the financial side of it. So no, it's no good. I don't think I will be downloading it. I don't even know what I have to do with this, but I'm not doing it. So I don't know what's going to happen with it. If it ever, whatever happens, whenever it eventually comes to market and everything. But I just feel like there is going to be a shift that, like you said, it's here. Like the AI stuff is here across the board. Like we need to prepare. And I'm glad, or I hope that Hollywood and studios and everything are taking it seriously and putting things in place to not let this fuck everything up. Because like there was just an article that I read that's DreamWorks includes AI training warning in the Bad Guys 2 end credits, saying like, hey, you cannot use this movie to train AI in any capacity or whatever. I love that. That's great. And then on the flip side of that, we have Mrs. Doubtfire star Matthew Lawrence wants AI to revive Robin Williams' iconic voice. Which, good Lord, talk about backlash. Two ends of the spectrum.
Yeah,
God, he is an idiot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And like,
is he competing for dumbest Lawrence brother?
Right.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Like, and that's something that I've also kind of toyed with in my brain in terms of the moral implications of it. But like,
Right.
because I read Matt Singer's book about Siskel and Ebert recently, and like I just started thinking like, there is so much media out there of Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert. There is enough material there of their voices that it would be interesting, and I'm going to be speaking very carefully here, if there were an AI model built of their voices to create them, like audio files of them reading their reviews. Like
Right.
having like Ebert's voice read his reviews that he wrote, especially after he had his diagnosis where he couldn't talk anymore. Like, I feel like there would be something interesting there, but if it means
They had that with Life Itself. It wasn't AI, but they were able to like basically like edit together that part of that movie is basically like some of his reviews being read by like in his voice. At least I thought it was in his voice. But regardless, he also had like he had like a talk box effect, not talk box, but whatever, like built with his voice too. So yeah, it would be interesting to get his take. I mean, when he passed in what that was probably 2013, I think. Yeah. So like, obviously in 12 years, like the AI thing has, I don't want to say you couldn't have known, but to see like the specifics of like how everything sort of played out. Yeah. So who knows where it's all going, but yeah, my initial take on this is like, grimace and
same. Yeah. And that's really all the news I have. I had one other piece of news, but we're not going to sink deeper into news. So that's the news for this week. Links to all of this, all of these articles that we referenced are in the show notes of this episode. Once again, those show notes are at obsessiveviewer.com/OV485 and in the show notes or notes or whatever of the podcast app you're using to listen to this, or in the description on YouTube. Yeah. So having said that, Brent, do you want to go into our feature review of the Fantastic Four First Steps?
Sounds great.
All right. So, of course, we're going to do a non-spoiler review followed by a spoiler review. I will play a clip from the trailer to delineate from spoiler to or non-spoiler to spoiler. Check the show notes for timestamps if you want to move around the spoiler section. Having said that, The Fantastic Four is in theaters now. It was released on a date that I did not mark down. It was July something. Jesus, what was the release date?
I think it was 25th because it was last Friday.
Yes, July 25th. Thank you. So, The Fantastic Four was released in theaters on July 25th. The premise, according to IMDb, is, and before I say this, I'll just say, this is how you know you're not listening to AI. The premise, according to IMDb, for the Fantastic Four is forced to balance their roles as heroes with the strength of their family bond. The Fantastic Four must defend Earth from a ravenous space god called Galactus and his enigmatic herald, Silver Surfer. Director for this movie was Matt Shakman, and writers were Josh Friedman and Eric Pearson and Jeff Kaplan and Ian Springer. And the cast includes Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Iban Moss Bachrach, Joseph Quinn, Ralph Ineson, Julia Garner, Natasha Lyonne, and Paul Walter Hauser. So, Brent, let's go into our non-spoiler review of the Fantastic Four. What were your expectations for this movie, and how'd you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of expectations, I mean, I had seen Fantastic Four in 2005, that one in theaters. I thought it was fine. I mean, honestly, at that point, there weren't as many superhero movies really out, so like it obviously like it wasn't as good as like the Spider-Man movies, but well, I don't know, it wasn't amazing, but I still think in some ways I think that movie holds up, especially given that it's like pretty early on, I think within like being mid-aughts superhero stuff. I didn't see the sequel to it, didn't see Fanforstic in 2015. So I kind of just went in with this just knowing that, Marvel Studios is bringing in more kind of 20th Century Fox characters, after Deadpool and Wolverine, and then Fantastic Four now, and then I mean Spider-Man was different with Sony, but anyway, regardless, like they're kind of just swallowing stuff up. I mean, they are the Galactus of superhero studios. So yeah, I mean, I probably saw the trailer a couple times. Casting seemed pretty interesting. And I thought it was pretty good. I was sort of mixed positive on it. There's stuff that I liked about it overall. I don't really know as much style as it has from like the set design and the props and like location work and that sort of stuff. I don't really know tonally that it seemed. I still feel like I don't really get the Fantastic Four. Like I still don't really, I still don't really understand like what the comics are like in comparison to what the movies are like. Because now I've only seen the 2005 one, but like Fanforstic, just from the clips I've seen, like it seems very like dark and gritty. That probably that doesn't seem right. The 2005 one, from my like memory of seeing it, is definitely pretty like hammy in some ways, but plays it straight in others. I guess generally I would put this MCU like First Steps in that category as well. I think it's generally playing things straight, but there is still, I feel like, definitely a zippiness to it, which we'll talk about, but like also kind of like a through line of humor where it's just like, it's a general like enjoyable movie overall, but I just think like at like a script level and direction level, like it could have been a lot better. And I said this early on, it's like it's like sucks having to follow Superman, because that movie was so good and in my view like so different and did so many things that really stepped outside of what like the MCU is allowed to do. So seeing this was sort of like it's what they do. It's kind of down the middle, but it's just, I feel, and again, this is someone who's not read the comics, but I feel like it's like, I don't know what it is about the Fantastic Four, but it seems like it's for some reason it like keeps, it's like Infinite Jest or something. It's like they can't, it's like the unfilmable team, the comic team. So comic book team. So anyway, it's fun enough, but like not as good as Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts, I liked like a good bit more for reasons that you can go back and listen to on that episode. But yeah, it's like a solid base hit. Yeah,
nice. It's funny. I came out of the theater really liking it, but the further I get away from it, the more that is kind of. I'm settling into a more like, I just like this movie. And I'll explain. So I was looking forward to it, if only because I just like that like retro futurism aesthetic that it was all over the trailers. And the thing about Fantastic Four, like I've read the first like dozen issues of the comic, like in the recent past, and it's very engaging. It's very fun. There's this energy to it that's just really sweet and fun, but they do, like any 60s comics, they just kind of hit the same note over and over again. The Thing just wants to beat everything up, and he's like a brute and everything. But like there are the makings of what this franchise, what these characters would be, is like a family unit of superheroes. And seeing the movie made me think several things, but one being that I just wanted to just mainline a bunch of Fantastic Four comics during that movie. Like I just wanted to read as many Fantastic Four, because like the visuals, the style of it, the chemistry among the four was just really fun. And it just really made me like hyped up to read more Fantastic Four. With regard to the MCU and the greater positioning of this movie, this is kicking off phase 6, apparently, which it's frustrating. Like, this isn't a spoiler, but we can go ahead and say that this does not take place on Earth 616, our like MCU timeline. This takes place on Earth 828, which is in an alternate dimension. And I understand that there were several issues behind the scenes with regard to how they were doing the multiverse saga and everything. But between like this and Loki, like I wish that they would have just done all of the multiverse stuff, be like each installment be like just like a trip into a different dimension, like having like not being a whole big Odyssey like Multiverse of Madness or Loki per se, but like be like, oh, this is Earth 828. Here's the Fantastic Four. Here's Earth whatever. Here's the Thunderbolts, which that doesn't really fit. I don't know. Anyway, but they've lost their way regardless, and now they were just kind of in the phase of the MCU where they're trying to piece together things to get us to Doomsday and hopefully be good, which we'll see. But to talk more specifically about Fantastic Four, this movie, I still enjoyed the chemistry, and I did really think it was ballsy for them to do what would have otherwise been like an Avengers level like event, like Galactus threatening to devour the entire planet. That's such a big thing. And the movie does some pretty interesting things with that, and on the road to the finale of it and everything that I thought was really interesting and fun. And there's some really good visuals along the way. But, and I think you alluded to this, it does feel very rushed. It feels very clipped together. It feels like the movie is 2 hours long, and it feels both like it was designed to be like under 2 hours, but it also feels like, oh, we got it to like, it's like 2.5, 3 hours. We need to cut it down to 2 hours. So like, it's this weird like amalgam of just trying to get everything out there as quickly as possible and fill in so many things, while also being like, okay, we need to also cut out a bunch of stuff to make it fit this runtime. So it just feels very, very brisk in a bad way. And that's kind of what I'm kind of wrestling with in my brain.
Yeah, brisk in a bad way is a good way to put it. There's an opening montage where they sort of catch us up on who the Fantastic Four are, and specifically in this world. And they allude to this event when they go off to space like 4 years prior and all this stuff. And like, it's very zippy, but it has that sort of thing of like what the Spider-Verse movies have done, where it's like, you've seen Spider-Man movies before. So like, we're just going to kind of go through this quickly to sort of set this up. So I was fine with that at the outset of this movie of First Steps. But it feels like, in retrospect, it feels like half of this movie was montages. And I think it's just speaks to like just the pace and the editing with this movie, where it does feel like, well, we gotta go. And it's like, well, okay, but yeah, it's like a brisk in a bad way, as you said. It's like, well, I don't feel like anything is really like tangible here. And a lot of these story beats, you have, some good actors like Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby, who are, I think, putting a lot into, especially like the, like bringing the child into, it's like how it's the concept of how can you bring a child into, this world? It's
right.
Like, well, how can you bring a child into a world that you're not sure is going to not be swallowed up by a space monster? So like, that's kind of a fun, in a way, not fun for them, fun for us, twist on that sort of like conflict that we've seen before.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I just felt like those character beats are kind of undercut a lot. And then you have, people on the periphery like Paul Walter Hauser and Natasha Lyonne with characters that feel like they almost shouldn't be there given where they are in the final.
Right.
I mean, there's this whole thing with Paul Walter Hauser, and like he does factor into the plot and everything, but like that felt weirdly rushed. And like John Malkovich, as we know, is supposed to play, was it Red Ghost or something
like that? Yeah.
Yeah. Who controlled chimpanzees apparently, because they allude to it in the movie.
Yeah,
it's like he's one of the and they allude to all these other villains that it's like, oh, we're keeping an eye on them. It's like, all right, that's fine. I mean, and like you said, I mean, having Galactus for this sort of a movie, at least, yeah, they're not like wimping out there. You know, they're going full bore with Galactus and Silver Surfer. So, you know, so that part of it's good. But yeah, it just felt like, yeah, it just felt weirdly paced in a way that that even something like the Captain America movie, which was a hack job in terms of like, I know there were like reshoots and a lot of things, but at least the actual pacing of that movie, I think, is at least generally coherent.
Right.
I shouldn't say that, like, anyway, that to me is kind of more standard pacing, whereas this is just like, and I don't know if that was, I have to imagine one of the notes they took from focus groups is don't make your movies too long and don't have too many Easter eggs where we can't follow what's going on. Cause this is definitely one where it's like, you know, they don't have audiences going into it like expecting that they have to have a lot of homework and have seen a lot of movies. And I know they're trying to pitch that as a feature now. You know, I think it works for some things. I think that this is so in its own thing on a different earth and a different time.
Yeah.
I think it works in that regard. But yeah, it just, the pacing for sure feels off. That's like one of the low points for me in this movie.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like, again, if I assume like one of their big things being like not needing to research a bunch of stuff to get what's going on. Like, again, that would have been great if the whole multiverse saga was like introducing these different universes, introducing these different like versions of characters and stuff, instead of being like, you know, the upteenth whatever, and bringing back Tim Blake Nelson from several years ago for
well, that doesn't
Captain
do anyone
America.
any good.
No,
except maybe his wallet, I guess. Probably, but
but like with this, it really feels like a disservice to like the first family of Marvel. Fantastic Four does have this just stature within the Marvel comics thing. From like, now that I'm an expert on all things comics, I can say that, but they're figureheads of this universe of the Marvel brand. And aside from the fact that they've made movies about the Fantastic Four, like Fantastic, that was horrendously bad. Like this, I saw it in the theater, and this is before like A-List and all that, but in Movie Pass even. But I remember I was at the theater, I was in line, I was going to buy a ticket begrudgingly, and I like saw that like the assistant manager who worked in the building I was a security guard at as well, he saw me and he was like, oh, hey, I can get you in for free. And I'm like, cool. So he gave me a pass to see it, and I saw it, and I was like, I wasted money on this. It was that bad.
Yeah.
But I have no real memory of the first one from 2005. It was passable, but yeah, like I just feel like the big like MCU reveal of the Fantastic Four should have had a bigger kind of fanfare around it. Like the way that like Spider-Man Homecoming, I felt, was a big deal because that's, you know, it's Spider-Man, he's home, like he's in the MCU, he's in Marvel. I just feel like Fantastic Four needed something bigger in terms of positioning the characters as to the stature of what they are to the universe. I just didn't feel that here because it was so rushed and hurried and jumping around to different things and doing so much to where when you get to the resolution of it, or when you get to even the solution to the problem they're facing, the solution to that problem is rushed to the point where it's like there is like conflict that could have organically been discovered and dissected throughout that because it's a planetary thing, but they didn't do it. They were just like, oh yeah, everyone's okay with it, let's do this plan. And it's like, okay, you kind of sacrificed some really good dramatic stuff there for, quick cuts to different things and then a resolution that just is fine. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, again, credit to them for going big with Galactus, but it's like this classic thing of like, he seems pretty all powerful, like,
yeah,
and like I get that there is, whatever, like leverage that they have, but like it really seems like he should be like, seems like he should be a huge problem for them. I don't know. That's the thing about like Fantastic Four is to me, it does seem like they all came back from space. They all have these like mismatched, weird superpowers, and of course, like The Incredibles, of course, there are other, series and movies that have kind of alluded to those kind of powers where it's like, they don't all fit together in a way that totally makes sense. But yeah, I just wish that, I don't know. Again, I don't know what the spirit or the tone of those comics are, but there was an article about, or a headline about how Pedro Pascal wanted to do like a trans Atlantic accent or something for this,
interesting.
And they ixnayed it. And it's like I don't know what that is, but like I'm just saying that like this to me would benefit from really like a movie. If something in the MCU is going to have its freak flag for, I knew I was going to screw that up. Freak flag fly. Oof, boy, man, I really took my time on that one.
And now we have proof that Brent is not AI.
Yeah, you cannot have AI screw up that bad. They'll just unplug it. Anyway, this seems like that would be the one. Like it just, as for as much as they do with the retrofuturism, like I like all of that stuff a lot. I think they come up with some really kind of unique uses of that, and I think that is kind of the different and interesting thing about this movie. But it doesn't feel reflected in the characters as much.
Right.
Like they don't really feel like they're like from the 60s. And to that point, like even though there's all these the kind of different things with the sets and just the way everything kind of like plays together, it doesn't really, it still feels like pretty much a Marvel movie for all intents and purposes. And it's like, if you're gonna go that, I think to me, the director here, Matt Shakeman, I believe, like did WandaVision. Like WandaVision, when that came out, I was like, that's so interesting. Like to do each episode have a totally different style. And like that first one, they actually filmed in front of a TV audience and like, black and white, all lighting, like all that stuff. And it's just like, the thing is, like this movie, it's all there, like on the screen. There's a lot of really cool like craft and like prop work stuff and all this stuff, but the overall package is still the main MCU down the line thing, and I think that's kind of the disappointment stylistically for me.
That's totally fair. That I agree completely. There was definitely a lack of like positioning of it in the timeline that it's in, like setting it in the 60s, even though it's an alternate universe 60s, like it didn't feel, like you said, it didn't feel like they existed in the 60s. It felt like they were just Marvel characters. Contrast that to years ago when the first Avenger came out, and like that is very like that's wartime,
I was just thinking of
Avengers,
that one,
and
actually.
And that was just like so ingrained with that, and to see this be just something just kind of felt a little cookie cutter for the current thing, current trend of Marvel and everything is just pretty disappointing. I did have an anecdote that I wanted to share that's really dumb, but I wanted to, after Superman and after Fantastic Four, I wanted to do like a joking post on social media and say like, well, we're in the end times of superhero movies now. We got Superman just blatantly ripping off of M. Night Shyamalan with Unbreakable by making the villain a character that uses like his mind over any muscle for Superman to be defeated. And now we've got Fantastic Four, which is just like a blatant ripoff of Incredibles. they've run out of ideas.
Run out of ideas.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
But, some of those, going back to like Fantastic Four in 2005 and like the Raimi Spider-Man movies and like Hulk, like something about as we get further removed from those, like I do have more of an appreciation for them. Even Fantastic Four, like, okay, I get people, especially comic book people, who have a reverence for that and know what this is supposed to be, not liking it as much. But there's something about like those shaggy, those where they're still trying to like figure out kind of what are we doing? Like, what's supposed to be happening here that I like kind of appreciate. And even going back to, as you said, like the first Captain America movie, like that's still Marvel Studios like getting their footing. To have something like that and then Thor come out, like those are two very different movies. And they haven't quite established that MCU kind of assembly line yet. So I don't know. I tend to, whereas this is again, aside from like the retrofuturism, them committing to the 60s aesthetic and all that, like it pretty much feels about as off the line as it can, and yet it still pretty much succeeds. That's just how kind of bulletproof their formula is.
That's a good
but
point.
it's just that it could have been better. And again, that's why I keep bringing Superman up. I know it's DC versus Marvel, like different thing, but like those are the movies I've tend to appreciated more recently. Superman and like the two Spider-Verse movies, third one will come out at some point, is when I feel like the filmmakers, because I'm not a comic book guy, I have not read them. I don't know all the ins and outs of what these characters are about, but I want to trust that the filmmakers get it. And there is like, I can watch Superman, I can watch this new one that came out like this month and say, okay, I didn't even know about all these characters. I didn't even know Superman had kaiju that he could fight. But I believe that James Gunn knows about it and that this is accurate. Like he wouldn't be doing this unless there was something in the lore for this. So those are the kind of swings that I appreciate now from people who have the confidence, because they're not just directing, like they're not just coming up from their indie feature that did well and just right on the line. And it's like, here's your Marvel movie. It's like, no, like I get what this character is about. I get the, like what I can bring to this. And I just, nothing against Matt Shackman. I don't know how to say his name. I'm sorry, but I
don't know either.
I don't think he was the guy. I think he did a great job with WandaVision, and they're like, well, you do the style thing, do that. You know, and it's just like, okay, kinda, but not. Because like you're getting, again, a certain aspect of it. It's like these movies just have to be a little bit different from one another. And that's it. And it's okay for us to expect more of them.
Absolutely. This deep into it, I think it's right. Like Thunderbolts, I loved, and that was because it was surprising that it had such a rich, deep, like emotional center to it. And like I remember coming out of Thunderbolts thinking like, oh, this makes me excited for the MCU again, because hopefully that means that they'll do more stuff like this deep, rich characterization stuff. And then Fantastic Four kind of is like a return to form essentially off of Thunderbolts. But I ended up rating this 4 stars. I'm probably going to see it again, and I'll probably drop it to probably 3.5, maybe. There are some problems with it, but visually and the overall MCU-ness of it was entertaining enough to leave me thinking like I enjoyed it quite a bit coming out of the theater. So yeah. Do you want to go into spoilers for Fantastic Four: First Steps?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right. And first, what did you rate it on Letterboxd?
I did 3 out of 5.
Nice. And of course, you can follow Brent over at Letterboxd at the username of Awake in the Dark. Okay, we're going to go ahead and go into spoilers for the Fantastic Four: First Steps. If you want to skip to the secondary review, check the show notes for timestamps to navigate around it. I'm going to play a clip from the trailer. When we come back, we're going to be spoiling Fantastic Four: First Steps.
I herald his beginning. I herald your end. my herald. Galactus.
What is that? Get us out of here, man! Hold on! Are we safe?
I don't know.
All right, so spoilers on for Fantastic Four First Steps. And Brent, I do want to mention really quickly that Franklin, from my memory, that baby does not take any first steps in this movie. So the title is a freaking lie.
That's terrible.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So aside from that, should we remark a little bit about the mid-credit scene, or really the mid-credit scene for Thunderbolts, and how it's related but not related to this movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. So spoilers for the mid-credit scene for Thunderbolts, but the credit scene for that shows the Fantastic Four ship coming into orbit over Earth, 616. So in our universe, after some kind of space event. And that led me to think that, oh my God, this is going to be such a cool tie-in with Fantastic Four, because that means that obviously, like, that's where it signaled to me, like, oh, this is obviously like a different timeline. This is a different universe. So it's going to be a different like universe in the Marvel universe as a whole. And so I thought that the entire movie was going to lead up to Galactus winning and the Fantastic Four leaving and falling into our universe, and that would be the crux of a lot of drama and everything going forward in the MCU, is the failure of the Fantastic Four to save their world. But that's not the case. That there was an article about how the mid-credit scene for Thunderbolts wasn't even really like was done or came up with like far into the process of making Fantastic Four, so they don't correlate at all, and it's just a big indication of like how much I don't care anymore about these mid and post-credit scene things. Like, that's why I loved Superman, because it didn't have any like big earth-shattering like implications for the franchise. They were just goofy scenes. So what did you make of that? And then we can talk about
the only thing with Superman is I wish they just didn't have any of it.
Same.
Or maybe just a mid-credit.
Yes.
But honestly, at that point, if you're going to have a mid-credit, you probably have to have something at the end.
Yeah.
I wish they had just done none of it. I really do.
Oh, yeah.
I think it could have been a really awesome way for the DCU to like just say, nope, that's the movie.
Yep.
We're not doing the Cracker Jack, drink your more Ovaltine. Like, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
And set the tone right there. They opted for them, and they're both, fun things, and that's fine. But,
sure.
But in regards to this, the really like, I think at least they're delineating it by having them be little things.
Yeah.
And the tease for Supergirl is in that movie. Well, I don't want to be spoiled for
sure.
Superman. Regardless. Yeah, the guy, this stuff still works. The mid-credit for Fantastic Four, they show Doom's hood, Dr. Doom. What's his name? Dr. Doom, his hood.
I didn't go to Doom medical school for 7 years to be called Mr.
To be called Mr. Doom. Yeah. Doom MD, yeah. So yeah, this stuff still works. The guy next to me, to the right of me, I went to Thursday night packed IMAX. Mm-hmm. The guy next to me, I think he literally yelled, "Let's go."
Oh, wow.
I'm just like, dude, we are so past this. Like,
right.
Please, God.
Yes.
So I guess it still works, and so that's part of the package, then that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't. I mean, whatever. I already know they're making Doomsday. I don't need to see like, oh, Franklin is touching his face or what. I don't care. As I just show me the thing, please. Like, I'm just sort of done with the like actual. I have to pay attention. Mm-hmm. Mid-credit and post-credit scenes.
Same.
Or really just any of it. Like, just be done with it. It's really okay. Like,
right.
If you're a non-superhero movie and you have stuff that you want to do, that's fine. But all that for me to say, like, the Thunderbolts one, I mean, a lot of that was actually setting them up as the new Avengers, but then at the very end, yeah, you see the Fantastic Four ship and all that. And so whatever. I don't care. None of that stuff really surprises me or does anything for me. It's just okay, you know, so
the way that it could have been, like, and this is dumb, but like, and impossible given the state of the world and social media and everything. But like, I at least wished that, you know, they would have shown Dr. Doom's face. They would have shown Robert Downey Jr. That would have been really cool if somehow they had kept that reveal secret and they revealed that he was going to be Dr. Doom in the mid-credit scene for Fantastic Four. That would have been really cool. Or I guess end credit scene. I think. I don't remember. But no. It was the mid-credit scene.
That was mid-credit. Yeah. I forget what the cartoon. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever.
But the actual meat and potatoes of the movie, the plot and everything, the fact that they had to rally the entire world together to get together the building materials and build out the to essentially move the planet to a different place away from Galactus. In theory, I like that idea. I just hated how rushed it was. I hated how it didn't feel as big a focal point for the story as the like level of it should have been, like, or necessitated it to be. It was very much a like, okay, well, we're all on board with this. Let's do this. And then the obvious like switch up at the end where it's like, oh, wait, why are we doing this? Let's just move Galactus. That's good. It just seems like it didn't follow the trajectory of like traditional comic book movie like tension. It just felt like it was meandering through it to get to like what the end game of it is.
I just think when you have people like Galactus, like this is, I think what I liked about Thunderbolts is that when you have, oh God, I'm sorry. I forget his name.
Oh yeah.
When he turns into whatever, super all powerful, holy crap guy, Louis Pullman, he's Bob, and then Sentry. Yeah. Like Sentry. What I liked about Sentry is that he is so ridiculously overpowered, and like it is stated as such. He beats the crap out of all of them, doesn't kill them, but like beats the crap out of all of them. And the rest of them, like they punch and shoot, like they say, like, again, it works best when it's a game of like opposites in a sense. Maybe they could have done it with Fantastic Four. It's like, we're just four people with random powers. How are we going to stop Galactus? That would be an interesting challenge. You kind of have that here, but I don't know. I just, when you introduce a character like that, it's like, it's hard for me to see a couple different times where he has like a tractor beam and with like a red light and like pulls someone up to his ship or himself or whatever he does. And yet the hinging of the plot here is this baby and this thing, like in this little carrier. It's like, why couldn't he just do the tractor beam up? And it's like, instead, no, he has to like actually boots on the ground and like pick up the soil and all that stuff. I was like, yeah, I get plot wise why he has to do that, but like, it doesn't make sense to me why. Or Silver Surfer is super freaking, I guess at that point she's mad at him, whatever, but like she's gonna switch him up. It's just stuff like that. It's like, that is what I don't get about Fantastic Four is it seems like they're villains. Dr. Doom, apparently he's going to go up against freaking everyone. Right. So it's like, these seem like extremely powerful villains. I don't know. It almost seems like, sticking with Incredibles, like have them fight Mole Man. Like, like that, I don't know. It seems to me like that might be a better fit. Yeah. Maybe not. I don't know.
Like, that's the thing that I kind of was thinking about, because I did have that, like, I understood that reference moment with the montage of like their powers and everything, like showing Mole Man. I was like, oh, I know that because Mole Man was like the first villain in the first Fantastic Four book, the first issue.
Why didn't they just do that, man?
I know. And like, that's what I was thinking.
Because
like,
Walter Hauser was good in this.
Oh, he's great. He's great in everything. But like, the thing about that kind of just rubs me the wrong way is that they've got Fantastic Four. This movie feels like it should have been two movies in this like multiverse saga. Like they should have had a first movie, like, even if they're allergic to doing origin stories, they should have done an origin story movie for Fantastic Four, have them go up against Mole Man, have them go up against someone else too, I guess, and like have that be the entire first movie of the MCU's Fantastic Four. That way we get the establishment of Mole Man. We get the establishment of like his connection with Sue Storm and how like she brokered a peace deal and everything. That way, when we get to the second movie, which is this one, we've got the Galactus thing and we've got that established like universe of Fantastic Four in this retro-futuristic New York. And you have the bedrock of the Mole Man stuff to where he can be used as an ally or whatever, like he was in this movie. Instead, they just pushed it all together and it just felt very, very quick. And again, brisk in a bad way.
Yeah, I know Galactus is a big deal. I know Doctor Doom is a big deal. So people want to see these characters. I think it's frankly probably as simple as that. But again, that's the way to delineate yourself with this movie.
Yeah,
is like it's called First Steps. Go back to the very first villain that they had. Is, you know, whatever is as silly or campy or whatever as that seems compared to the other threats in the MCU. That's the way you can make this movie different.
Yeah.
You know, but they want to go for the more fan servicey stuff, which I get. I mean, you know, Ralph Ineson's the guy you want for Galactus in terms of the voice. Julia Garner, that's an interesting choice for Silver Surfer. You know, I think she does a good job with the voice work. I think they both do. But it's just, yeah, I mean, everything, it seemed like whenever character moments were getting interesting, it just felt like we moved right past it. And that's just not a great feeling. But, but yeah, to the performances, Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, I think were both good. Eben Moss, I always forget how to say, I hate hyphenated last names. I'm sorry.
Me too.
But he was actually the highlight of the four for me because I think that is a different thing that I remember with the 2005 one, and I would assume the 2007 one, and then Fan Forstic. It was Jamie Bell, right?
I think so, yeah. And that
would be interesting.
It was so freaking weird because it was like the movie when it was dealing with Ben Grimm / The Thing in Fantastic, like Fan Forstic. That was like, it was a full on like body horror movie. And it was just so in contrast to the tone of the rest of the movie. It was so weird.
That movie seems like I almost want to watch it. But anyway, I shouldn't though.
Right.
But what I like here is that he's kind of like the homebody, like he's like cooking and he like wants everyone to like get together for dinner. And I even like the stuff of him like picking up the car and like trying to impress Natasha Lyonne, speaking of people who aren't in this movie enough. Like I like that stuff in general. And I thought his voice work was very naturalistic. And I thought that was a cool choice. Like, because I expect you would expect the Thing, you know, to be like this. And it's like he doesn't go for that. And then at the end, like he has the clobbering time moment where he sort of like just sort of, you know, just accepts it that this is what people see me as or whatever. So I really like that a lot. You know, I don't know how any of these characters are going to fit in the MCU. I don't know how they had solved room. They don't. There is no more room.
No.
I said this years ago. Like it's like we're already at capacity. The club is the bouncer should be bouncing the Fantastic Four. They got to start their own club or something.
Exactly. Like I don't know what's to come, but I liked the four pretty well. I thought they all did a great job. I found it weird that I felt like Reed Richards wasn't like his stretchy powers weren't showcased enough. Like until like the end of the movie, that kind of bothered me. But Joseph Quinn as Human Torch, he had like the most character growth, I think, throughout the movie. And I thought that was interesting. It just felt very, it really felt very cookie cutter comic book movie stuff, which we don't need in 2025. We need something like a little deeper than that.
He has sort of an interesting relationship with Silver Surfer. We find out about her backstory and all of that. I think he's a good actor. You know, I think for me, this is one where it's like Chris Evans in the original one, like that works. Like that to me, I think he actually did a really good job with that. And of course, he had a cameo last year in Deadpool versus Deadpool and whatever it's called.
Deadpool and
anyway,
Wolverine.
yeah, that's right. They're holding hands. So anyway, so yeah, I mean, I think the elements are there, and it's certainly a fun enough time, and it's one of those things. It's like now that they're in the universe, maybe they'll do more interesting stuff with them. But that's the thing. It's like, I guess if I'm to piece together these end credit scenes or whatever, I guess they flee from 828 or something. Yeah. So we're gonna be kind of like Captain America. It's like all the other movies are going to be present day, so that's going to be kind of stripped from that. So whatever. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think it has its kind of, I think it has its fleeting pleasures. I just think it could have been so much more fun if you just make it an inconsequential romp.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You know? Like that's okay. Like that is the change. Like, don't make everything. I mean, look, I get the Galactus. He's just a character, and that's what they wanted to do with this. But like, I don't know. I think and I don't know the comics, but it seems like I would think it would be better to go the opposite way. And it's like, here's this like goofy thing for 2 hours where they're trying to stop this underground guy. Right. Like, what's his deal? Like, that's so much more interesting to me, because again, it speaks to me. If someone comes out and does that, and I understand there's only so much you can do in the MCU kind of architecture, but like that says to me, like this is like going back to like the spirit of those like older comics. This is going back to something that's not, because what they're effectively doing now is like superhero movies are just influenced by other superhero movies. That's
absolutely.
You know, where it's like, of course, like the early superhero movies, like when you're making whatever Batman in '89, for instance, like that's not inspired by other superhero movies. Like that's inspired by, you know, German expressionism and, you know, like, and all these like crazy, like Gothic set design. Whereas this, it's like, okay, yes, there's some of the sets and production design. There are some things there, but like, this is, I mean, it's taking beats from other superhero movies. And sorry, I don't think that's the way to go. I mean, I think to really succeed with these superhero movies now, you gotta really, really mine the actual material. Not that I know what it is, but again, like kids can tell. Like, I can tell. You know, like I can tell when I just want to know. Looping back to our AI conversation. Like, I just want to know whoever's making it, like, gets it. Yeah, you know,
has a passion
so that I can get it. You know?
Yeah, like it's similar also to, like you said, it's very much influenced from other comic book movies and stuff. It reminds me of Captain America: Brave New World. How that felt just like a bunch of stuff put together from other Captain America movies, and just a disservice to Anthony Mackie for that, like in the grand scheme of that. But like, it just feels it again, like that assembly line thing, like you said, it's a bummer that Fantastic Four got it. And I'm saying all that having really liked this movie. Like, I still contend this is a very good movie, and I will see it again. It could have been better. Like you said, that's kind of, I will say that space sequence with the black hole, that was fantastic. No pun intended. Cool. I thought that was really good. That was great. I loved that.
Yeah, like the whole space section of this, like that's cool. Like making, because again, like, okay, we've had MCU movies in space, but like this is the most like space actual, not like space opera, but like sci-fi space movie I think we've had from the MCU in a minute. So like, okay, if you're going to do Galactus, lean into that, like mainly have it set in space, but they don't, like, it's a section of it. So yeah, it just feels wishy-washy. It feels like it just sort of wants to be a catch-all and everything. But I mean, I had a good enough time, and I think that honestly speaks to the longevity of like the characters, and just like generally these storylines, and B, you know, the MCU machine. You know, I mean, knock it all you want, but I mean, they know how to put together most of the time, majority of the time, at least entertaining package, even if it's even when it's not its most ambitious. Exactly.
And that's the kind of double-edged sword of it. Is it's still entertaining, it's still packaged in that familiar package, which is why I am very excited to see what James Gunn does with the DCU, to see how that kind of, I want to see like really like that. I want to see that basically foster like renewed competition between them, between DC and Marvel. Because
I think you're going to get it.
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah. So
I am now too. I wouldn't have necessarily said that even a couple months ago, but hearing him just even talk about Clayface, like actually being like a real body horror movie. Yeah, you can't know until these things come out, but it's encouraging. So.
Oh yeah. So any other thoughts on the Fantastic Four First Steps?
I don't think so. I think, like I said, solid base hit. I think generally pretty kid friendly. I don't know if people really talk about that with MCU stuff. If there are people out there who are like, Thunderbolts, this seems really dark. It is dark, and I don't think it really is for kids. This, I think, is generally more of a kids movie. Okay, Galactus is scary, but like, I think this is generally kind of a, I think kids will probably vibe with this a little more, for what it's worth.
It is very, very, very heavily implied, not confirmed, heavily implied that Reed Richards and Sue Storm had sex.
I don't even know what that word is that you just said at the end there. That last.
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of going over my head. So.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry. I'll send you some material.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It seems interesting. It seems like we could do a whole other podcast on it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Don't ask the kids. Don't ask where Franklin came from.
No.
Don't get into it. All right.
Yeah. A deleted scene where Galactus is actually a stork, and they defaulted on their loan, so he wants him back.
He's a cosmic stork. See, that's the movie I wanted.
Yeah.
Galactus, the cosmic stork. That's what his job is. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, well, that's our review of the Fantastic Four First Steps. Once again, Brent rated it 3 stars, and I rated it 4. Overall, I liked it, but it is still it has its issues. But whatever. Brent is going to go away so that we can do the secondary review. But before you go,
a black hole like Galactus.
Exactly. But before you go, Brent, first of all, thank you for joining me. And second of all, if you could tell people where they can find you online and what reviews you have coming down the pike, if anything, like what your plan is going forward. And again, where they can find you online.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
Of course.
I'm at awakeinthedark.com is where you can find me and all my affiliated socials on Facebook and Twitter, Threads and Blue Sky and Instagram and all those. In terms of upcoming reviews, I'm seeing The Naked Gun tomorrow, which I'm excited for. I've been excited. I think the marketing campaign's been great for that, and I'm just excited for it. So hoping it's funny. So that I'll review next, and then Weapons, and then our Art House Cinema Center. They just posted yesterday that they're getting highest to lowest on August 15th, which is like a few weeks before it's going to be on Apple TV. Like they're actually doing the theater, which I didn't realize. Like I didn't know that they would that we would be getting that in town. So yeah, those are my next 3. I'm excited.
Sweet, that's awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, we're going to bid adieu to Brent, but stay tuned. I'm going to go into the secondary review. But once again, Brent, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds great.
All right. And before we get to our secondary review, I want to take a quick moment to remind you that if you like the show, please take a moment to follow us on social media and subscribe to and rate the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, or whatever your preferred podcast app is. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast YouTube channel at Obsessive Viewer Podcasts, where I have some videos posted up there as well. And if you're interested in starting a podcast of your own, you can go to Libsyn and use the promo code OBSESSED when you sign up for a new account. You'll get up to 2 months free depending on when you sign up, and we'll get a commission on it as well. More details on that in the show notes of this episode. And now back to the show.
They tell me I view obsessively.
All right, and for this week's secondary review, it is just me, and I'm going to be talking about the new body horror film Together, which is in theaters, was premiered in theaters on August 1st, and I'm going to do a non-spoiler and spoiler review. I did do an immediate reaction recording of it on Patreon, where I did a non-spoiler review, but here on this episode, I will do a non-spoiler and spoiler review. So, to get into the non-spoilers, let's talk about it. Together is in theaters now, and the premise, according to IMDb, is years into their relationship, Tim and Millie find themselves at a crossroads as they move to the country. With tensions already flaring, an encounter with an unnatural force threatens to corrupt their lives, their love, and their flesh. The movie was written and directed by Michael Shanks. This is his debut feature, and the cast includes Dave Franco, Alison Brie, Damon Harriman, Mia Morrissey, and Carl Richmond. And there is controversy surrounding this movie. There is pending litigation regarding an indie film that came out called... oh, geez, I can't remember what it is. But anyway, there's pending litigation about Together that a filmmaker claims that this movie was ripped off by Alison Brie and Dave Franco. To get into that a little bit, I did read a little bit more about it after basically kind of doing what I'm doing now, like stumbling through talking about it last week on the show. But basically, the film that this was, the filmmaker, I'm just going to read from Variety. Let's do that. So let's see where to start. In a statement on Wednesday, oh no, this is about Shanks. Anyway, set to be released July 30th. Okay. The producers of Better Half. Okay, this lawsuit alleges that back in 2020, Brie and Franco were pitched on Better Half, but their WME agent turned it down. Both films involve a couple who become physically stuck together, each due to mysterious forces. The producers of Better Half, which was released in 2023, attended the Sundance screening of Together and were stunned by the similarities according to their lawsuit. Neon and WME said in a statement Wednesday that the lawsuit is aimed solely at drumming up 15 minutes of fame for a failed project. Jesus Christ. The defendant's lawyer, Nicholas Jampel, has argued that the two projects are not remotely similar. In a letter... anyway, so I will put links to both this, like the response and information about the actual lawsuit. But basically, the movie was called Better Half, and it's alleged that they were ripped off, that this movie rips that off. Don't know the ins and outs of it, but I'll put links to that. So I just wanted to kind of do my due diligence as haphazardly as I just did, and share that information with you guys before I get into my review. So having not seen Better Half, I don't know the ins and outs of it, so I'm just going to review this on its own merit from what I saw. I really liked it. It's a very interesting body horror movie. The visual aspect of it, the grossness of it, the body horror aspect of it is not that extreme per se, but it's kind of gross in a couple of parts. I mean, just the fact that they find themselves being stuck together is gross, and the way that, the pain it inflicts upon them is unsettling. But as I've said before, throughout this movie, I was thinking, I survived the substance. I can watch this. And I did. So the movie does a really interesting job, or takes a really interesting turn in that it's about this codependent relationship. It's about this pair who have been together for years. And instead of being like this deconstruction of two people in a relationship who shouldn't be in a relationship, this is a deconstruction of two people that are in a relationship who have not grown apart in that relationship, but have settled into that relationship, but also are individual people who want more out of their own lives. So Millie, played by Alison Brie, is a teacher who accepts a job out in the country. They live in New York City, She accepts a job out in the country as a teacher, and Dave Franco plays Tim, a musician, a kind of struggling musician who isn't finding success in his field, in his industry. So he is kind of begrudgingly brought to brought along to it. Like, they live together and everything, and so like he does accept to go out to the country and live in the country, but it is this part of him that it's kind of giving up his dream of being a musician and like achieving success as a musician. And I found that interesting because in some ways this movie is an interesting kind of reflection or other side of the coin for a movie like Materialists, because in Materialists, Chris Evans' character is a struggling actor and he's like 35, and here Dave Franco is like 35 and he's a struggling musician. And there's this undercurrent both in Materialists and in this, that it's like, why still hang on to that dream if you're this old in your life? Like, you're like the youthful dreaming of that is something that is maybe passing him by, to where to continue to dream about it isn't just fruitless, but it is a reckless thing to his well-being and his relationships. And what the movie does, what Together does so well, is it examines that as being this level of codependency that has developed between him and Millie, because she's the breadwinner. She's the one who has like an active life and everything. And he's just kind of just like listless throughout it. And it's not done with any kind of big moments or anything. It's not like this big thing where he's overly dependent upon her, or she's his rock or anything, because he has like some skeletons in his closet. He has some backstory. He has some like trauma in his past that he's also working through. And because of that, because the combination of that becomes like, Tim becomes this like fully formed character, as Millie also becomes a fully formed character as well. Where you really get into the psyche of like what it's like to be in that relationship between these two people who are at not different parts of their lives, but are in positions in their life outside of this relationship that isn't where either of them want or expect to be, and how that kind of, that disappointment or that kind of feeling of displacement within yourself seeps into the actual relationship that you have. And what I found really interesting is that these people have been together for like 7 years in the movie, and there are moments in this movie where you can see those sparks of what made that relationship like strong in the beginning stages of it, or when they were younger. And obviously a big part of that is the undeniable chemistry of Alison Brie and Dave Franco, who are married in real life, of course. But it also goes down to the writing, that I think the writing does a very good job. Like, there's a scene where Tim is telling Millie something about his parents and something about the trauma that is tied to his parents. And he's telling this to her, and she's hearing it for the first time because he has not told anyone about it. And you can sense and you can feel like that feeling of, oh, this is a new discovery in this relationship that has kind of not run its course, but is to a point where it is kind of stagnant. And this is a new experience for both of them. And it's a memory of experiences, or it's bringing about memories of experiences of first time experiences of hardships and good and bad situations in the relationship. Like that tender, tactful connection of emotion is like on display. And in the movie, it's done so well because it's acted well, it's written well and everything. And it's also demonstrated really well because it's communicating to us that not only are they sharing this incredibly intimate, sweet moment of candor and learning about each other, that's also based on just a horrific idea or horrific incident and terrifying like imagery, but they are also like cognizant of the fact that this is how the relationship is at its best. Like that feeling of belonging to each other and trusting each other and being with each other is undeniable on screen in that moment. And what's great is that the movie like lets that moment breathe. And then throughout the, like most of the movie, it's just them working through this weird supernatural thing that's happening between them, but also being kind of distant to each other or being, very organically non-communicative because they're so set in their ways with that. But those little pockets of candor, romantic and like personal moments between them, like hit so hard and so well. And I just really loved it for that. Where the storyline goes, I'm going to say in non-spoilers, that it's really satisfying and really interesting because the relationship that I've just heaped praise upon throughout this recording or throughout this episode, the relationship is the stand up front thing. It is the focus of it, the front and center thing. That's the phrase I was trying to say. It is front and center. It is the heartbeat of the movie, so that when we get some answers or we get more into the mystique about what's going on and like that, the mystery about like what is this phenomenon that's happening between them, we get those clues and we get those information that information that trickles down throughout the movie. But because Tim and Millie's relationship are so the focus of the movie, any details that come in about the force and about the situation that they're in, any information that comes through with that is secondary. And so you get this really satisfying thing where like you're learning about like what's going on and you're being fed this information about like the like mystery surrounding like this supernatural thing that's happening between them. But because you're so, at least I was so invested in the relationship dynamic and the way that relationship was playing out, I found that to be like just extra stuff that was coming in because the real like satisfying thing was that the dynamic between Tim and Millie. And again, I think Dave Franco and Alison Brie were fantastic in this movie. There are levels of, again, it runs the gamut of those personal, reflective things and those personal like moments between them. There's also moments of frustration, like they haven't had sex in a long time and that's kind of reaching a boiling point. And there's feelings of inadequacy on both sides, and there's inadequacy about the strength of the relationship and everything. Meanwhile, the supernatural power that's happening between them causes, like, it's not just that they're being fused together. It's that like they can't really be separated. Like they can't really be too far away from each other. And there's some interesting stuff that happens with that. But I just found that to be really interesting as this kind of metaphor for relationships and codependent relationships and stuff like that. So I thought that was really interesting. But by the time we get to the end of the movie, it kind of reminded me a little bit of my feelings when I was watching, on a smaller scale, when I was watching Talk to Me, the horror movie from a few years ago, where like that ending came about so suddenly. And it was one of those things where it was like, I was catching up to what the movie was going to do. And I was like so satisfied with what that movie ended on and like the note that it ended on and everything, that I was just gobsmacked by it. Cause it was like a moment where like my mind was catching up to what was happening. And I was just like, oh, this is awesome. This is really cool. I had a similar but smaller feeling about Together when it was ramping up to the ending. It's a smaller thing, but I just felt like, okay, this is really pretty good. This is a good way to end this movie and really satisfying. And it holds back a lot of the details about like what is going on till way late in the movie, which I really appreciated, which I'll talk about that in spoilers. But overall, I really think this is a strong debut from Michael Shanks, pending litigation, but also it is a really good performance from Dave Franco and Alison Brie. Mostly Dave Franco, or like more so Dave Franco, because I feel like he has a lot of the a lot of the emotional weight hefted upon him because of the nature of his character, and the insecurities that the nature of his character kind of breeds within him and the relationship. But I mean, they're both fantastic. I thought it was really, really good. So I ended up rating this 4 stars on Letterboxd, and I don't really have much else to say in non-spoilers. Just, I really liked it. I thought it was really a really strong body horror movie, and I was really satisfied with it. So those are my non-spoiler thoughts on Together. It is in theaters now. I'm going to go ahead and go into a spoiler review. It'll probably be brief, but if you want to navigate around spoilers or just stop listening to the episode, that's fine, because I'm not going to do a potpourri section or anything. But I'm going to play a clip from the trailer. When I come back, I'm going to be spoiling Together.
I think something's happening to us. The pull, the thirst in your bones. I can't explain it, but we're sick.
All right, so spoilers on for Together. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the body horror of it all. I really was surprised, and I liked a lot the way that Tim is unable to function when Millie is away. It's a very simple, like, straightforward metaphor for codependent relationships, and with the way that these characters both function. Like, it's pretty obvious, like, you know, Dave Franco's character is this kind of, not necessarily down on his luck, but he is this person who's gripping the stream to be a successful musician. And because of his status in the relationship and his status in the industry of musicianhood, because of all of these contributing factors, he feels this inadequacy, and he feels like he depends on Millie for, like, that emotional comfort of a relationship. And he's also dealing with the loss of his parents and the trauma associated with that as well. So it's a very rich character. And when we get to the whole, the thing of him not being able to be away from her, because as she's moving away, or as she's going into town, he loses consciousness, and he's like moved along, like, supernaturally. It's really cool. It's a very good just physical representation of that metaphor of codependency in a relationship and inadequacy and everything. And I just really liked the visualization of that. I really thought it was unique and interesting to see just like this idea of a codependent relationship visualized in that way. I thought that was really fascinating as a way to just bring that subtext to the forefront in a very inventive way. It reminded me a lot of obviously the movie Us from Jordan Peele. Just in terms of the logistics of it all, it just reminded me of that, and I wasn't expecting that, and I thought that was pretty cool. But Michael Shanks made it his own, pending litigation. But I thought that was really really inventive and an interesting way to kind of represent the status of their relationship and the kind of subtext of their relationship. The movie leads us to the end, which is how all movies do, but except for Memento, technically. But anyway, the movie leads us to a finale where Millie finds out that Jamie is like, he's responsible for the cult in the woods and everything, and that he's actually him and his husband fused together. And I was just kind of gobsmacked by that, because again, this is such an interesting, rich metaphor for relationships, and how like a codependent relationship, if you survive it, if you get through it and you get married, you can become one person, one entity. And I don't know if that's a good or bad thing in the context of codependent relationships or anything, but it is that growth of characters in a relationship, that they are learning to accept one another for who they are, and learning to get over the things that are keeping them from being the person that they want to be, who is, like, in a weird, twisted way, they're becoming a single unit. It is a metaphor for marriage and everything. It's really, really interesting. And dumb as I am, I did not see it coming. I did not see it going down that road. And I'm very happy for it, because I think that this has a lot to say about relationships and about the drama of relationships and the pressures of relationships, and especially long-term relationships, and the pressure of being successful while also being part of a unit of like two people that are together. It's a really, really interesting just kind of dissection of that. And that's what really great horror does. It develops this subtext, or it explores this subtext, this meaning behind the story and meaning behind the characters that I just found so fascinating. And the Spice Girls of it all, that I thought was really, really good. That was a really good like button on the end of the movie, to have that needle drop be the two become one or whatever. I don't know what the actual song is called, but like have that be the end as they're fusing together is really, really good, really satisfying. But yeah, I really liked this movie. I'm excited to see what Michael Shanks does next, pending litigation. But I really enjoyed this. It might crack my top 10. I rated it 4 stars on Letterboxd. It could definitely crack my top 10. I could see myself rewatching this or revisiting this later in the year, which it's already technically later in the year, because it's July 31st, Jesus. But later in the year, in the run up to award season, and getting the top 10 list ready, the year in review episode. So I could see it kind of breaking through on that, but on its own, outside of all of that stuff, this was a great body horror movie that I thought was very satisfying and unsettling throughout. So I really liked it. So that is my review of Together. It is available in theaters now. And like I said, I'm not going to do a potpourri section because I've been recording for a while and I have the air conditioning off and it is very hot and I'm sweating in my apartment. So that's it for this week's episode of the Obsessive Viewer podcast. Once again, I'm going to be doing episode reviews of The Institute on Patreon. But so sign up on Patreon for that and a ton of content. And also check out or make sure to follow us on social media and subscribe to the podcast on your preferred podcast app. Also check out Obsessive Viewer Podcast's other shows, Tower Junkies, hosted by Tiny and myself, and Anthology, which is hosted by me, about the Twilight Zone and classic sci-fi television. Thank you so much for listening. Next week on the show, the plan is to review The Naked Gun with a secondary review that is to be determined. So that'll come next week. Until then, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. And now, enjoy this short clip from a recent Patreon exclusive episode. For the full episode and more Patreon exclusive content, sign up at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. I don't know if I've mentioned this on Patreon or on the podcast. I've complained about it to everyone, but my air conditioning in my car went out. And
oh, God.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And let me tell you, the fact that like here's the thing. I went to Wendy's. I forgot that I have a Frosty in my freezer. But anyway, I went to Wendy's a couple of days ago. This was after work. I was like, I'm going to treat myself to a little treat. And got Wendy's, got food. And then I ate the food in my car like a rat. And then I went home. And the combination of just having crappy fast food and it being like 100 degrees with no air conditioning in my car. Like when I got home, it was like drenched with sweat. My body was, and like I had to change and take a shower. And then like I was done for like the night. I was like, I'm just going to play video games.
You have to do all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
It was just so draining. And I admit a big part of that is probably the, fast food gross stuff and me being an elderly man at the tender age of 39. But it was just like, I need to get this stuff fixed. Thank you for listening to the Obsessive Viewer podcast. This episode was produced and edited by me, Matt Hurt. If you have feedback, thoughts on our episodes, or just want to connect, you can email me at matt@obsessiveviewer.com. For more information on this show, including a full archive of our episodes and show notes, visit obsessiveviewer.com. And if you enjoyed the show, please give us a follow on social media and subscribe to us on your podcast app of choice so you never miss an episode. Also, consider rating and reviewing the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Audible to help increase our visibility and grow our community. If you want to support the show and get early access to new episodes, as well as a steady stream of exclusive episodes, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. For information on more podcasts presented by obsessiveviewer.com, visit obsessiveviewer.com/podcasts. Our theme song is A Little Mad Sometimes by As Good As It Gets. For more of their music, check them out on Spotify and at asgoodasitgetsmusic.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Get up to 2 months of free podcasting service with Libsyn. Check out the show notes for your promo code to get started podcasting today.